Everybody to another episode of the SPS DAOn Hall. I'll be your Claiborne, and today I'm going to be joined by Dave McCoy here. You guys may have heard of him. We're all Dave McCoy, actually. One of my really good friends that from back in the day, Bronco, explained that one to me. So, how are you doing, other Dave McCoy?
I'm good. I'm good. You have to make sure you refer to me as the other Dave McCoy, so I know I'm up.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and there's a
otherwise,
bunch of Dave McCoys listening right now too, so that's always good.
exactly. All
Yeah.
right, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm excited. Happy to answer this. Where do people type in questions so I know where to look? Do we do it in the town hall or we do it in the voice
Uh,
chat?
yeah, let's just do the town hall. Like, I think that's probably like the most like that, and like
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on the YouTube channel because we're also like live on YouTube. So if I think I shared it earlier, but if anybody wants to drop the, let me see, just so for the for the people that want to watch on YouTube or whatever. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
RFA to glory, by the way. Yes, Bronco. I actually liked Bronco for a long time until he just went completely like conspiratorial on everything. Then it was just he was just his mind was convinced that everybody was out to get him, and it's just sadly, he left as a result.
I like to imagine that he's listening to this right now and just knows that he lives on in our hearts.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's
I
true.
like that's one of the things that I think like you see with this community and this game a lot, Dave, is like people like get really heated, they get really passionate about stuff, and like one of the things I think is like I think people have a tendency to take a lot of this stuff personally, where it's like one of the things that like I like have to like really like sometimes like I'll have to take a step back and like I mean, usually like I'm here like pretty much every day. Like usually like what I'll do is like, every couple of months or something, I'll just like disappear for a day or two, like whenever I have some downtime. And like part of that is just like kind of grounding myself and like reminding myself that like, one, like I do my absolute best to not take any of this stuff personally. Like, I mean, like, it kind of is what it is. It's part of the nature of like my job is that like I have to kind of work with everyone, but also like the fact that like anyone could like literally make a proposal to fire me, right? So I mean, like I have to not take that kind of stuff personally because like at the end of the day, like I'm here to serve the DAO, and like at the end of the day, like I have to do what's in the best interest of the DAO, right? I mean, like we've seen this come up like multiple times with things like cutting like LP inflation or like reworking development proposals, stuff like that, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's what's best for the DAO. I try to do my best to like avoid things like my own personal bias, and like that's like I get why people take things personally. I mean, like we're all human, like we all have that kind of tendency. But like even like whenever I see people arguing over things, like I mean, you've seen like we've had a couple of flare-ups over different topics this like just in the last week, and like that's one thing that I would say. Just if you guys take anything away from this, like take take away the fact that people are still here, they still care enough to even have the discussions, and just try not to be like so hostile to each other. I mean, like keep in mind that like even if we disagree on how we're gonna accomplish things or how we get there, in general, we all tend to agree with the goal that we're working towards, which is we want this project to be successful. And with that, like that kind of I think is probably a decent segue into the fact that like we had to make some changes and compromises with the conflict system, right?
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, it's being reported out there that I'm too low in voice now. So
Okay, well I'll crank you back up then. Let's see.
yeah, just a little bit. Just
Okay, how about that? Is that better, guys?
I don't know. Ask Intrepid Surfer's the one that brought it up. Bam,
Okay.
our
I,
favorite
I just
glory.
I just cranked you up like another 30%. So I mean, like you're kind of like
All right.
booming to me. So hopefully they can all hear you.
Yeah, and I'm blowing everybody's ears out. They can let us know that too. All right,
Hey,
so
hey,
OFG said we're
for
good.
the record, OFG, I did not tell you to stop eating so much steak. I just said consider like other cuts. Like one, like there's like ribeye is a very expensive cut. Like I eat steak a lot, Dave. I don't know if you know this. Like I'm pretty much a hardcore carnivore. So like whenever I want a salad, it's chicken. You know, so like most of my meals are like beef. Sometimes I do pork, but like in general, like I'm just like a hardcore carnivore. But what I was saying, OFG, is that like there's other cuts that are much cheaper and like have a lot less fat on them. So like just try to mix it up a little bit. Obviously, like ribeye is great. Hoja de bife for my Espanol friends. But yeah, like there's lots of good cuts of beef, and like picanha is one of my favorites. That's one that I try to always tell people about. But back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're
Well, we're
yeah, I
having
did
cooking hour, Dave. We're having cooking hour.
yeah. I'm one of the Team Possible calls the other day. We started talking about economics. Like everybody shut off. They don't want to
Yeah,
hear us talk about economics.
yeah.
Um, are we on YouTube? Luna said we're not on YouTube yet, so I don't know
Uh,
whether we're on. Okay, never
I
mind. She found
mean,
it.
yeah. I mean, it's
I
definitely
found it.
on YouTube.
Yep, she found it. All right, so yeah, so the conflicts basically we needed, you know, we've never done black foils before. We never did arcades before. So putting them into the set for Conclave Arcanic was great, right? Like having black foils and black foil arcades was great. We put, a relativity weighting on them in terms of collection power, and then we use collection power to do the complex. It turned out that when the complex came, the expectations were way off compared to last time for the regular foils and gold foils because of the black foils and the arcanes. Um, and in my opinion, the problem is the weighting factor was created such a disparity. It created like you either got the black foils and the arcanes or you didn't. If you did, you were happy with the way conflicts went. Like if you got your fair share of black foils, you were like, hey, this is great. Like you keep doing it. If you got less than that, or you just built like a regular foil deck, then you got way less than you did before. So one of the biggest objectives trying to get accomplished for the mini set was to fix that because we actually had like people really make a big deal out of it. Some people quit over it. Um, it was just a big deal. Um, the second issue was the battle wagons and the cost of battle wagons to repair. I don't know how many times I heard, what a bad experience that was. In one case, one of the cards came out, it was worth substantially less than the cost of repairing the wagon, so they would have been better off not even getting the card. So I heard that a lot as well. So we certainly listened. Um, but then having said that, I mean, the black foils are great. Like, some people's solution is like, nah, just don't do black foils. Like, that's not a good solution, right? Or at least there's a high percentage of people that wouldn't agree with that. And then similarly, the fact that the wagons were made on land and on land resources, there's obviously people that play that part of the game that they felt that it was perfectly fine the way it was. So basically, what the goal was in setting up the new complex was number one, we didn't have to do complex. Like, there's no rule that says, we have to do complex. It's, make 6 extra cards, let those extra cards out and let them be something fun for people to get. But if it turns out not to be fun, then it would be better just not to do them. So the goal was how can we make it fun? How can people, mitigate the bad feel, so to speak. And so if you look at the conflicts, it was a combination of a lot of different things to essentially talk to different people in the community, both big players and active players. Not just big SPS holders, but also active players, and try to see if we could come up with a compromise. So I know that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, some people made the comment like, geez, this is complicated, right? And yeah, it is complicated. And they make it sound like I made it complicated on purpose, but I didn't make it complicated on purpose. I would love for it to be easy. The problem is there is no easy solution when you have many different people that want many different things. Sometimes it's got to be complicated to essentially compromise. So that's essentially what happened. And I'm happy to go through it without, rehashing all the reasons for it. But I believe we covered a lot of the things that, people were upset about the first time. This one should be much better across the board. Not everybody got it the way they wanted it, obviously, because that's what compromise is. But it should be a situation where people are happy to do conflicts, which is the goal. If we're going to do them, we want people to be happy. So, having said that, Clay, how do you want to do it? Do you want to start with the proposal? How do you want to go about it? How do you want to go about it?
Well, I would put it like this, right? Like, I think part of the problem is not necessarily that, like, the changes are complicated. I think part of the problem that people had is that, like, the proposal's complicated. And, I don't know, like that's one of the things that, like, I've tried to get better about, like, over the years. I mean, like, I've written a lot of proposals now. I'm not sure if you're aware, Dave. You might have seen a couple. But
Yep.
like one of the things that, like, I always, like, strive to do is, like, my goal is, like, single issue votes, which isn't always possible, like, especially in a situation like this where there's a lot of moving parts and you got to get compromise. But, like, I do think that, like, the more things we do in a single proposal, like, one, it makes it more complicated, but two, it also makes it more divisive, right? Because, like, while we're working for compromise, there's also, if there's three different things that we're voting on all in one proposal, and, like, somebody's like a hard no on one single thing, then it's like automatically no, even if they agree with the other two things. But, like, I think part of the problem is just, like, I didn't write this proposal, so, like, I think, maybe I'm not saying, like, I'm like God's gift to writing proposals, but I think people have probably gotten more used to, like, how I do them. And even then, like, I still get criticism sometimes where people are like, you make double negative proposals. And, like, part of that is too is, like, once you've already, like, passed a proposal and, like, you have, like, a standard way to operate, then it's almost like you need a negative proposal to take away, like, I guess, like, the permission or whatever you want to say that's, like, already been granted, right? So, like, like, all of this stuff, like, I try to take it into consideration. But I will say that, like, overall, I think this new system isn't really as complicated as, like, it may look just from trying to read through the proposal. And the problem with that is, like, the proposal has to kind of, like, clearly outline and delineate a lot of things to get that compromise. But as far as, like, the thing itself, like, I mean, here's my basic understanding, Dave. Like, let's go from this, and then, like, maybe this will help people understand it. We can take questions, and you can clarify if I'm misunderstanding, right? I would say
Yep.
that basically the way we're going to do it is only the mini set cards are going to be able to go into conflicts, right? So then we're going to take these conflicts, and you're going to still need wagons, like you always have, but instead of having wagons have, like, let's just say a wagon costs $5, and then, like, currently to repair the wagon it's like another $5. Well, like, again, like, the price is negligible because, like, that's going to basically be determined by market demand and the supply, et cetera, whatever. But, like, just for argument's sake, we're going to say $5. um with the new mini set proposals, it'll be like $5 to get your wagon, and then, like, $2.50 to repair your wagon when it breaks, right? So, like, that system is still working as it did. Like, whenever you get a card, it breaks, you got to repair it, but it's half price. Okay, so I don't know if we're doing that with, like, you get wagon kits and it takes two kits to build a wagon and then one kit to repair. Like, all that's kind of like whatever. But, like, the general principle is it's going to cost half as much to repair a wagon as to create a wagon. From there, whenever
Yes.
we put the mini set cards on the wagons, they're only gonna, like, earn regular foil cards for, like, any kind of guarantees, but, like, you're still getting entry points, right? So then you'll be able to take your entries. Like, let's say I earn 100 entries, right? Then there's gonna be, do I want to go for gold foil? Do I want to go for an arcane? Do I want to go for a black foil? So, like, there's going to be three separate buckets that I can put my entries into as kind of like a lottery mechanic to try to win, like, one of the special variants, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
basically what we're saying is whenever you compete, you're going to only get regular foil cards guaranteed, but everybody has a shot to get these like the special cards. And like what you can do is you can kind of like look and see, like, well, maybe Vuctus has like 10 bajillion points, like I've only got 100. But like I see Vuctus is going for all the variants, or like Vuctus is going for all the black foils, right? So I'll be like, well, maybe like I got a lot better chance of just throwing all my points into gold foil and hoping I get lucky. So I mean, like it's kind of like you have more freedom, but like there's less complete random chance. Like, does that make sense?
I mean, it is still a random chance, but you get to choose your agency. So, do you want, let's say you want a chance at all of them, right? And let's just use an example. Let's say you get 1,000 uh, points during the conflict, right? You stake yourself in the wagon, you get 1,000. I forget what they're called. I think they're called draw tickets, chances. So you get chances, right? So let's say you have 1,000 chances. Those little bars that go across, it tells you how many chances you have. That's actually a roll. So at the end of each conflict, you're going to have a certain number of chances. You can say, and then we'll use the example 1,000. So you can say, I want to evenly distribute my chances. Like I don't really want to pick one or the other. So put essentially 250 or yeah, 250 in the gold foil, 250 in the black foil, 250 in the gold foil arcane, 250 in the black foil arcane. And then there you go. So you have an equal chance at each of them. If you choose, like, hey, I don't really care. There's only one black foil arcane. There's only one. I don't want to waste 250 of my entries on that. I'd rather double up on the gold foils. You can do that. So you can do 500 in gold foil, 250 on the black foil, 250 on the gold foil arcane, and none on the black foil. So you, as a player, get to choose where you want your points to go, and then it's democratic in the sense that everybody gets to make their own decisions. So if you want to go only gold foil, you can put every single one of them on gold foil. If you want to take a shot at only that black foil arcane and there's only one of them, but you want to like have more chances at it, you can do that. But it is still RNG. It is still luck of the draw, that kind of thing. So obviously, the more chances you have, the more opportunity you have. Then I don't know if you want to bring in the doubling up your chances. Um, so so let's say you had that 1,000 and you're like, saying, I really kind of like to do more. Can I do more? The answer is sure. Whichever bucket you want, right? Whichever, like let's say you did gold foils, let's say you put all 1,000 into the gold foil and you say I want another 1,000, you can do that. You just put in 1,000 more gold foil potions. And so you end up getting 2,000 if you want to go that route. You don't have to, right? Like there's no cost to doing your first 1,000, but if you want to double up, you can get as many up to as the same number. So if you have 1,000, you can get 1,000. You can't get 5,000, but you could definitely get one more 1,000. Or you can say, just buy me 500 because I got 500 potions. Like you can pick and choose whether you do it or not.
I know this was like one of the points that like I kind of had to deal with a little bit is whenever people are wondering like, well, how is this going to impact the land? Like are you just like are you like lowering the cost of wagons? Are you gonna like hurt the value of land? And one, like I think that we can look at there's going to be a lot more increased potion demand, right? There's going to be increased demand for midnight potions, I would assume. I mean, with the fact that you can double it up. So anybody that's wanting to kind of like gamble on getting a black foil, I mean, like I can tell you, like if I'm going for a black foil, I'm having midnight potions for every single draw because I mean, it's just like why wouldn't you? You're doubling your chance. And then there's also a new potion that's going to be added for sparkle potions, which is like if you want to go for a variant, which is like a black foil arcane or a gold foil arcane, you're going to need these sparkle potions that can only be created on land. And then, you know, uh, I don't know how much we could say, Dave, but I think maybe you could you could acknowledge that like basically as soon as we made land cards, maybe someone was kind of like pestering you the same weekend that the commons sold out that we probably should do some more stuff with land to keep to kind of keep the land economy flowing while we're waiting on. Well, actually, so Cryptomancer talked about something recently, so I can talk about this, but like there are buildings coming for land, right? So like Cryptomancer's already confirmed that this is the next thing that he's working on after he finishes like the cooldown potions. So yeah, all I can tell you guys at the moment, unless Dave wants to go a little further, is that there's more stuff coming for land. So I'm not worried about this wagon repair cost hurting land at all. Like I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, I don't mind going off on a tangent in a minute, but let's make sure we cover this particular issue, which is, hold on, drink some water. You made me you made my throat dry there, Clay. Um, all right, so I put in Discord the number of prizes in each draw event. So each time, and this is the part hopefully that starts getting out, right? Like you guys start helping each other when people have questions. Like each conflict will have 4 separate draw events. So the conflict goes 30 days, it's over. You get your regular foil. Boom. Whatever that is. You have X amount of chances, X amount of them guaranteed. Let's say your guarantee was 3. You did whatever the number was, and let's say you had 1,000 and that got you 3. You got your 3 regular foils. Now you have, I forget the time, I think it's 24 hours. It's in the post. But you will then like take your 1,000 and put them into whichever draw event you want. So you can do the gold foil draw event. Again, look at the Discord if you're in the Discord. You have the gold foil arcane draw event, the black foil draw event, the black foil arcane draw event. And just so you know, the number of prizes are there. So there's 155 gold foils up for grabs. So that's how many we're going to be distributing, other than the amount that was in the leaderboard. But this is how much is in the draw event. There's 155 gold foils plus 50 skins of that summoner. Okay. In the gold foil arcane, there's 5 gold foil arcane. So if you want to go into gold foil draw arcane draw event, you're going in and you're getting your opportunity to get 5 gold foil arcanes plus 50 skins. So that's what will be in that bucket. And if then there's the black foil. There's 9 black foils in there, because the guy who wins the top 6 summoner in the pre-sale, the number 1 will go to the guy who won them. So the other 9 are going to be in the black foil draw event. So it'll be number 2 through 10 plus 50 skins. And then, like I said, the black foil arcane, there will only be 1. So the point is, like, there's a lot more gold foils that you can get as prizes. So, I would imagine a lot of people are going to want to just opt for the gold foil. But the point is, you have agency. You can decide what you want, right? You can go all in gold foil if you want, or you can go all in any of them. So you can see the prizes, and every single one will be the same. So you can change it up and do whatever you want. But I'm excited because it's complete democracy, right? Like everybody has an opportunity to get these, the high end ones. Even if you have, 20 chances, you literally have a chance. Um, so, and like I said, we can double it. The cost of the potions is basically just 1 alchemy for the gold foil, 1 midnight potion for the black foil, and 1 sparkle potion for either of the arcanes. So you want to double up
Just to be clear,
the
that's
sparkle.
per chance, right?
Yeah, per chance. Yeah. So if you had 1,000 chances, and you wanted to do 1,000 gold foils, then you need 1,000. Well, you can do up to 1,000 gold foils. You could also do 50 if you wanted. If you wanted 50 extra chances, like it's up to you. It's completely up to each player what they do.
Yeah. You know, I think it's going to be interesting, right? Because I think it'll add like another layer of strategy to this whole thing, right? So, well, one, like, basically, oh man, we're already getting the scam bots. One second. Gotta ban this idiot. Okay. Buy, glorify, come back never. Okay. That distracted me. One second. Well, I think it's gonna gamify I think it's going to gamify the conflicts in a pretty interesting way, right? Like I think, you know, one like we've basically we've lowered the delta between people that are like putting regular foil cards on their conflicts versus people that are going to be putting like black foil cards, right? So like it's still like a significant you know boost to have like gold foils or black foil cards staked on the conflicts as opposed to like staking the regular full cards. But I mean, what's the difference now? Like it's like 50% of the difference that it was for like the current conflicts, right, Dave? Is that like the right number? 50%?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Like
I was replying.
so basically like the difference between a regular foil and a black foil on a conflict. Like let's say like I have a max regular foil and you have like a black foil and we both put it on the conflicts. Like right now, you're getting like a black foil is like 5 times the value of a gold foil versus in the new conflicts, like with the adjustments made, it's more like 3x a gold foil. So like the delta between regular foil and like a black foil put into a conflict is much lower now, right?
Yeah, close to half. Yes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and the reason is, like I said, the bad feel, that people had, like we compressed it. So the value of a black foil in the conflict, not as a collection power, but in the conflict itself, has been reduced to 60% of what it was. So it's, you know, it's almost half, not quite half, but almost half of the variation. So when you buy your pack and you get a black foil, you'll get the same collection power that you had, in regular Conclave Arcana. But when it comes to putting them on the wagon, they will be worth only 60% of what they were. So it will drop the impact on a relative basis so that it's not as big of a deal as it was.
This ties into the reason of why the move to just standard packs was made. Part of the problem is like if you look back at the original proposal for the mini set, like it had already factored in repricing alchemy packs to like $20 as opposed to $12 because the black foils are so much more valuable. But then like if you're also reducing the value of the black foils while raising alchemy packs to $20, it's going to be really difficult to like it's one of the things about like usually like whenever you change economic levers like you don't want to like just go pull every lever at once because you're not going to know what's actually working, right? So like if you're raising the cost for an alchemy pack and you're also like lowering the value of the alchemy pack and then the alchemy packs don't sell, you're not going to know, is this because we raised the price or is this because the value of the black foils was reduced? Is it because of both? Is it too much to do all at once and then nobody wants to buy alchemy packs? So like it kind of just like it came out to the idea of like let's try standard packs for the mini set, see where these things land, and then I do think that there's a lot of people that do like the special packs, right? Like there's like the more premium feel to it, and I mean like I imagine we try to probably bring those back for like the next core set, right, Dave? I mean I think like we don't want to try pulling all the levers at once until we know, do black foils like lose a lot of value whenever they don't have that, basically like double the value versus a regular foil on conflicts? Are black foils still highly desired due to their scarcity and the fact that they do still have a big advantage, even if it's not like as high? I think it's kind of like just trying to limit some of the variables to make a better, more informed decision moving into the next conflicts, right? And I mean, like maybe that's something we even figure out, right? Like with the mini set conflicts, is like maybe this still isn't, like the final iteration, right? Like maybe there's still other things that need to be tweaked. Maybe you need to have like different numbers of the arcanes. Maybe people don't like all the arcanes being in. We don't know. It's like that's one of the things is like, I'm really glad with Dave, getting into the position that he's in. We're now able to try different things, and we're not like so like static and like locked into, oh, this is the way we've always done it. But I mean, it's got to be twofold, right? Like you can't just go try a bunch of different things and then not be willing to adapt when they, I mean, I think we can look at the current conflicts and we can clearly see not everything worked out perfectly. But does that mean like black foils were a bad idea and we shouldn't have done it? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think people really like the black foils, but it just means we gotta be conscious of the impact that they're having and adjust accordingly, right?
Yeah, exactly. And going back to your point about that's why I wanted to do the standard pack. Um, just because it was, I mean, I've been here for a while now, I mean, since the beginning, but specifically this role since March of last year. And like, even if it's clearly said, like, even if we say it as clear as we could today on the call, there's going to be somebody who's going to not hear that, right? Or maybe not understand that, or maybe it wasn't clearly said enough, right? So, what would then have happened would be somebody's going to go thinking like, oh, I got a black foil, I'm going to get all these cards now, like a legendary gave you like 2 airdrops, right? And then when they find out like it's not as much, then they would be upset for that. So, then they would have claimed I should have never bought the alchemy packs and blah, blah, blah. So it just made it simpler with all the moving pieces to bring it down to the standard pack. It's just a mini set. I 100% agree with you. I like the multiple pack types as well. So I'm not anti the multiple pack types. It's just we have too many moving parts and we are coming off, a lot of salt. So I didn't want to repeat that. So I thought it was more important that we remove the salt than it was to have multiple pack types at this particular time. That's all.
Yeah. So, I'm sure we're gonna end
And
up having to like,
just to point out one more thing there, Clay, everybody buys the same pack type. So nobody can say, oh, you knew the so and so packs were better than the other pack, right? Like, nope, they're all the same. Buy as many as you want or as little as you want. It's up to every player.
yeah, and that's actually so one of the things that, I guess like I should be clear, like I've been quite involved in the mini set process. I mean, this is yeah, like very easily, it's like the biggest investment that DAO's ever made. So like part of the problem there is like I'm also extremely involved because I want to see the DAO not just like get its money back, but I mean like profit, right? Like I want to see the DAO take in more value than it put out. And like this is kind of like I know that there's been some like debate in the community over the last week or so in regards to like the way like the deck works and like paying the team in deck. And like one of the things that I was trying to point out is that like whenever the DAO, like for example, puts out a billion deck, right? Like if the DAO takes in 1.1 billion deck, that ultimately is like a net deflationary scenario, right? It's because like yes, you're putting a billion deck into circulation, but you're pulling more back out than you put out. So I was kind of trying to like explain that situation. And but like again, like to me, the main thing is that if the set's not good, like the economics almost don't even matter, right? Because like we've seen in the past, like some of the mini sets, like the I don't know, I feel like maybe the previous mini sets maybe didn't get as much like attention to detail as like I would have liked, and that's one of the reasons why we've been we've been pretty much like locked in on this mini set, honing it in and polishing it for I think like going on like 4 months now. And like it's gotten more intense as of like the last, few weeks to a month or whatever, like now everybody's kind of like back from Christmas. We're like locking in to get it, out, and we actually have like a date. But throughout that process, it's like we've been basically balance testing it in modern. We've been making sure like the set complements Conclave Arcana for whenever Rebellion rotates out. We're having to basically do like some future planning to make sure that, now that it's like now we're making the game a little bit more complicated. We have things that we have to consider like bloodlines. We have to consider different synergies. And, I can't at this point get into too much of like the meat and potatoes of what's in the set. But I can tell you that we've done a lot of things to make sure that the value's there, right? Like one, like the cards are good, but not just that. Like when I say make sure the value's there, I mean like if you look at like the rarity distribution, for example, right? Like we want to make sure that like legendary cards are the most rare in the set, right? So like we've gone through and we've kind of like made sure to rebalance and make sure that commons are the most common, rares are the next, then epic, then legendary. So we're making sure that that's fixed. We're making sure that the cards have really good synergies. We're making sure that the power levels are dialed in without being too broken. I mean, like I can tell you this, like we had like multiple cards that like I was like, no, we gotta dial that back because like it was literally just too much, right? So like we're being conscious of making sure that there's high value cards without creating situations where it's like, oh, you just like released a bunch of crazy power creep. Um, no Intrepid Surfer. Unfortunately, there is not a pickle card in the mini set, but I can tell you I've been all over Dave and Nate saying that like I want picklekin avatars. So I imagine at some point I will spread my briny goodness over the rest of the game. That's my goal. I'm actually secretly here to infiltrate the game with pickles, if you guys didn't know. But I do feel like on a serious note, I do feel good with this mini set. I feel like it's gonna be I don't know, like I said, ultimately like what's well received. I mean, like if it sells well, obviously I would say that that's well received. But I will say that like I feel like on the whole the mini set is pretty good. Like I think it's gonna be the best mini set we've done. I mean, if it's not the best mini set we've done, I'll probably personally consider it a failure. But like, I don't think it's even a question because like I mean I was around for Rift Watchers. I would like I don't even know if like you can really consider things like orbs like a quote unquote mini set. I mean like it's too small. I definitely think that like the escalation is gonna be miles ahead of Rift Watchers. Like let's put it that way. Um, let's see. How many
Let,
packs
me- let
for
me let
regular?
me let me answer Dagger's question
Yeah, go ahead.
here publicly, just because I think it's a big deal to understand. Like you're not guaranteed a gold foil in this manner, and like people are like, oh, like I don't, I want a gold foil. Well, if you want a gold foil, you can put all your chances on a gold foil, and you can use potions up to the amount of chance you have in a gold foil, and then other people can go for the black foil arcane, and the gold foil arcane. There's only so many cards to give out. So out of the total, the top guys are going to get 55 of the 210 for being on the leaderboard. So that's like that is a guarantee for those guys, that are spending the top 10 amounts for the mini set. But we can't extend it any further without taking away the like then like let's say we put more prizes in there for 11 through 50, let's say. Then there just wouldn't be there'd be like hardly any prizes left to go into there for the drawing, and then it would be complete pay to win. Like like somebody who, was 150th or 250th basically would have very little chance of ever even getting a gold foil. So this is like the most democratic that it can be, because if you want to do gold foils and you really, really care about the gold foils, then put all of your chances on the gold foil. And if you want to buy potions to double it up, do that too. And obviously we're all going to get to see what everybody else does. Like, we'll see like how many were put on the gold foils, how many were put on the black foils, how many on the arcane, each of the arcanes. And, like I think in people's mind, they're thinking to themselves, well, everybody's just going to do the gold foil, and that might be the case. I'll do the other three then, and I'll just get all those. But my guess is that ain't going to be how it's going to work out. Like people are going to think they're going to want to do the gold foil, but then they're going to say, well, I want to take a chance on the black foil, for instance, and I'm going to put a lot of chances in the black foil. So the point is, everybody gets to pick. Everybody knows the rules. Please don't be upset if you don't like it. Like maybe next time we could do it different, but that's how we're going to do it this time. But just understand that those are the rules. So it doesn't mean if you buy X amount of packs, you're guaranteed to get a gold foil unless you're in the top 10. If you're in the top 10, then yes, you will be guaranteed to get one gold foil all the way up to well, basically in the top 10. So the 11th on down has to take their chances, you know, based on their number of chances. So my guess is if you have a lot of chances, you're probably going to get a fair share of those. But it is RNG. So if RNG doesn't work for you, then be prepared.
Like it's kind of like an interesting situation, right? Because like I look at it with like the fortune draws that we've already seen for like the rewards, right? I mean, like I don't know, for a while there I was in the top five. Unfortunately, I got lucky and won a card, so now I'm like trying to stay in the top 10. But it is what it is. I'll get my lucky long shot one day, but my luckiest long shot, sorry. But it's interesting, right? Because like you kind of want it to go both ways, right? Like you want people to be able to like win, right? And like I still remember, man, like it lives like rent free in my head forever that there was a guy that bought one pack in the Chaos Legion pre-sale and he got a gold foil Dr. Blight and I got the bare minimum and I'm sitting there like, man, what a lucky SOB, right? But I mean, like think about it, right? Like there's gonna be people that like maybe they don't even have enough entries to get a regular foil guarantee, but they can still take those chances and put them on something like a gold foil or I mean maybe they're wild, right? Like maybe they just want to like go throw them all on the variant and just hope they get a black foil arcane. I mean that's going to be interesting, right? Like, I mean, imagine there's a guy out there that bought like, five packs and, he doesn't have enough to get like a guaranteed regular foil, but somehow he wins the black foil arcane, right? Like, I mean, I think it's cool, right? Like, I mean, it's the same luck of like, can I open a pack and pull like, like, yes. So nobody's even got the black foil arcane Yaba yet, right? So, like, yeah, somebody could go out there right now, buy a $4 pack. It could be their first $4 pack, and they could get it. I mean, it's like that, right? Like, I think I get that, like, people, sometimes people like the guarantees, but like, I don't know, man. Like, it feels like maybe like a little bit more, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little spicier. Maybe it's a little bit more interesting. I don't know. Like, it's kind of cool to me, right? Like, I look at it as like what happens when the guy that like was maybe it's like a new guy that comes in, right, and he's just like trying to figure out like what's a wagon, I've only got like 10 chances, like what's that worth, and then like maybe he hits it big and gets like a gold foil or something. I think it's cool.
Yeah, and we can change it the next time if enough people like prefer it to be the other way. Then we can do it the other way. But this is an attempt to try to do something different, um, and essentially make sure that the it's fair, right? Like all the arcanes are going to be dropped. We didn't You got no chance at an arcane when you were doing it before, right? Like in the conflict, you got no arcanes given out. So, there will be 5 gold foil arcanes and 1 black foil arcane given out. That is value that's added in, to this mechanic. That will pull some of those chances away so that you're not competing against everybody to get the gold foils equally, because there will be some people, like if you put all yours in the gold foil, you can, and that's perfectly, I would imagine there will be a lot of people that will want to do that. But then there will be other people that will say, oh, let me go try to chase the black foil or the black foil arcane or the gold foil arcane. And then therefore their chances don't go in the gold foil bucket that they put over there. So in effect, what we've done is we've created it so that if you really, really, really care about the gold foil more than everybody else, you have a chance to at least increase your odds relative to everybody. That's your decision, not our decision. Like each person makes that choice. So Clay,
Yeah,
I don't know if sometimes I beat it up, like
yeah.
beat a
I
dead horse
mean,
or whatever. Like, I don't want to keep
yeah,
doing it, but
yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say about it, but I do think that like I think if there's go I don't know. I think we're gonna probably see increased potion demand. Like that's I don't know. Like it's definitely interesting, right? Because like if I think about it, and like let's just say like at the end of the thing, maybe usually I have something like 2,000, 3,000 entries, whatever. Like it's enough to get like, with the current one, like I can get like 2 guaranteed copies or something. But like if I know that I'm gonna get those 2 regular foils, and then I have like 3,000 chances to go get like variants. I mean, I'm gonna 100% want to double my chances and get like 6,000, 7,000, like whatever it comes out to be. Like I don't know, it's gonna be interesting, right? Like I think that's the cool thing is like we get to experiment, we get to try something new, and if for whatever reason like it doesn't work, it's, I'm not saying the mini set is like no stakes or like low stakes or anything, but I think it's lower stakes than a core set, right? And like I think that that's something we clearly learned from the changes that went into the Conclave Arcana. Basically, like the changes to the conflicts is that you know it's kind of like the same problem of like pulling too many levers at once, right? Like we introduced new pack types. The black foils were obviously like I guess most people that aren't hoarding black foils would say that they're kind of overpowered in the conflicts. And again, like I think that like it created a lot of upset with a lot of people, right? They're like, historically I've always been able to buy a full set, and then like, I can pretty much get like a full set of conflict cards. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately things changed, right? And like, I mean, I'm not gonna say you're wrong for having your expectations based on like what historically played out, but I mean, like what is historically like one time, So I mean, like it's kind of like I can see it both ways, but like also, I do think it's important to be mindful because we don't want to make like a worse user experience. So yeah, I mean, it just is what it is, right? Like these are the changes. They got voted, they got approved by vote. I definitely think that like they're made much more thoughtfully this time based on the experience that we gained from the previous 2 times. And hopefully, I mean, hopefully we get it right and like everything gets locked in, and then we just know like, okay, when you go into the next core set, like this is how we do it. It worked well, people liked it. And yeah, like overall at the end of the day, like the whole point is to make a better user experience. And clearly, like I think that's one like really fair criticism of Conclave Arcana, is it just feels like we missed the mark in that regard. And I again, and this is one of the things like I kept going to Dave, I'm like, we got to add these conflicts, we got to add these conflicts, and ultimately that led to we had a proposal to do it, but it's like again, it's like you don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's a good idea. I think a lot of people like conflicts, and I think we should always have them, right? Like I think, I mean, it's such a better model than what we had before, which was like basically just pack flipping. I mean, and pack flipping was problematic because one, like it overprinted cards. Basically it created a situation where you were basically like perversely incentivized to buy more cards than you needed because you could basically just look at it as like every airdrop I get on top of these packs, I'm basically just selling at a discount, right? So like we came up with a better system and now we tweak the system to make it even better.
Yeah, and we'll pay attention. I mean, I think we didn't do a good job, and I'll say we, meaning me. So I'll take the blame. Like when the Conclave Arcana set came out, I did not anticipate the disparity that people, that the black foils were going to have and the impact that the wagon costs were going to have. And so therefore, you can't change something like that once it's done. Like people make decisions, right? They go out and they buy black foils because they're going to get X amount of drops. So you can't, like in the middle of it, say, oh no, we're going to now change those black foils. Like, so, once we make a decision, we're stuck with it. So, I don't mind feedback. I'm happy to have feedback. I wish sometimes the feedback was a little more like constructive, like we're not trying to like take, hurt anybody ever, right? Like it's always a goal to try to make this fun and exciting and happy. And then pay attention to people that say, hey, dude, it just wasn't fun, exciting, and happy. So can you please understand why? And tell me, and like, cool, like I understand and I'm happy to listen. And that's what this is. This is an attempt to try to make it cool, fun, and happy. If you're not cool, fun, and happy with it, like that's okay. Like, tell us what you'd like to see. Like maybe the guarantees were better, right, in your eyes, or maybe some of the guarantees are better, blah, blah, blah. So maybe paying out, on the leaderboard for complex, maybe going, 20 slots down was better than 10. Because keep in mind, like somebody would say, well, we should have gone 20. Well, what about the guy that was in the 21st slot? He would have said you should have gone 25. Then the guy who's in the 26th slot thinks you should have gone 30. Right. And like, where does it end? So we just have to do the best we can, try to like find a way to make it as fair as possible, which that's what this is. Create it to where where you have agency. Like if I don't put any of my chances on a Black Foil Arcane, then I know for sure I'm not going to win a Black Foil Arcane. But that's okay. Maybe I don't care if I win a Black Foil Arcane, or maybe I think there's like zero chance for me because I'm never lucky to get it. So I may want to focus, let's say, on the Black Foils. Right. So maybe I put all of mine on the Black Foil. Now I got an extra chance to get it because of all the people that are doing the other stuff. Maybe I have a better odds of getting that. So that's why this is kind of like gamifying the process. Like you get to choose what you do. It's not like anybody's fault. It's just literally like, were you lucky, right? And again, maybe people don't like that. I personally think it's going to be pretty fun, but at a minimum, the only cards we're not putting in there are the 55 cards that are going to go to the top 10 on the leaderboard. And again, this is a complicated situation, so we had to pull all kinds of people together to try to make this thing work. So, one last thing to answer, Shade, he's asking, why don't we give another boost to arcane cards? That's been brought up. I like the idea of doing something for arcane cards, but I don't like the idea of doing something with arcane cards the way we're doing it. Like right now we're doing, extra extra uh I forget the word, extra points in battle, on your you get a bonus in battle, you got higher collection, you got use in these draws, right? Um, I think that doing something for arcanes down the road is something I know Matt wants to do it. I want to do it. It's just we're not there yet, right? So it's probably going to have something to do with collections, and motivating and rewarding people to build collections. I would think when we get to that phase. it's not something that's gonna happen in the next 3 months because I know what's happening in the next 3 months, but it's definitely something that, we do believe in doing something for collectability is good, and, what that is and how that is, is still TBD.
Yep. And I don't know. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff with this mini set, right? Like I don't know. Like man, there's gonna be experimentation. Let's put it that way. It's not just the conflicts are getting experimented. We're gonna have some very interesting archons. I gotta use the right word there. They're always summoners to me, and but anyway, I gotta use the right word there. And I saw somebody was asking, when we're gonna start spoiling some stuff. I don't know. I had this guy tell me that we're gonna just start doing it this week. I mean, it looks like he's in chat. So I mean, maybe if you guys just all start tagging Blaze repeatedly and just telling him he needs to, maybe spoil a card or two. I mean, like give you something to work with. Maybe that'll work. Just everybody just start pinging Blaze relentlessly until he, gives in. But I don't know, man. Like I can't wait until we can start sharing details, man. Because like I'm pretty damn hyped about this mini set. Like it's gonna be a good one, man. Like that's the thing. Like like we all have work to do. We all have things we have to get done. But then like I mean, there's like, Blaze and I'll spend like hours testing out new cards just like in our fun time, like just like basically sending each other challenges, like, trying to figure out like, can we find like busted strategies? Can we find like cards that feel too weak that we need to like maybe like polish out? And I'm telling you, man, like it's very fun, it's very dynamic, and again, like I gotta be careful with what I'm saying, but like I'll tell you this: the new archons are gonna add a layer of sophistication that you probably haven't seen before. I think that's fair to say. I don't know. What do you think, Dave? Like, what can we talk about? Because I know we got the starving masses out here.
Well, and, we have a town hall tomorrow, so we don't want to take away any like eye candy or anything like that. But stay tuned for the town hall tomorrow, and we will definitely be putting a few things out for that. Um, so that's coming. I did mention Intrepid Surfer brought up you had alluded that we're going to have plenty of things for land resources. Is that right? You brought
Yep.
that up earlier. So
Yep.
we mentioned, or I said, yeah, or you asked me if I could reveal anything, and I would just say that um now that we have land built, right? Like, we have a mechanism, we did the land card, right? So now we can actually craft things on land. So for instance, sparkle pokus, right? We don't have a thing called sparkle potions, but we will have a thing called sparkle potions that you're going to be able to use in this mechanic. And the way that they're going to happen is they're going to be purchasable or craftable on land. So a player on land can say, "Hey, I want to go in the sparkle potion business," and I forget the numbers. I think it's 100 aura, and they make a sparkle potion, and then they put it on the market, and players that want to buy it can go buy the sparkle potion. So things like that are coming to land. In addition, we did the land card that everybody's aware of, and a land card was good for two reasons. I mean, many reasons, but two in particular I want to talk about now. One is it showed how we can create cards, more cards for land. So instead of just taking existing cards, we can also create land cards that are specifically designed for like land abilities and ways to help you in land. So that was one. The other thing is we showed that we can use this thing called sender plus resources and consume a lot of both with cool cards that people want. So people wanted the land cards. We sold $200,000 worth of them at initial launch. Now they're trading at least double that, probably triple that. Um, which and we burned a lot of resources in the process. We also can make like that is not limited just to land cards. Land card is just one thing. You can also make other cards for other modes. So I think what Clay's alluding to is the testing team has already been working on a couple more cards. This time they won't be land cards. They will most likely be uh, usable in ranked play. And um, and instead of being priced in deck or vouchers, they will be priced in land resources and cinder. So that's coming relatively soon. Clay knows about it because he's been testing them. And when I say pretty soon, not to put a date on it, but I think the cards have been made. Now we're waiting on the art, and then putting it into the game, kind of thing. So that should be another.
Hey, we got him. We managed to pester Blaze enough to drop one.
Did he do it?
Dude, that's a that's a level 1 common card, by the way. I'm just gonna point that out. Yeah, that's a big boy. There's some big boys in there. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. So there you go, Blaze.
Yeah, I just like that's funny. He whipped out the one BCX. Like that's brutal. So now they're gonna be like, I guess you guys got to tune in tomorrow and hope maybe he'll show you a max level card. Damn, pulled out the one BCX. That's
What is it?
savage.
That's a common too, right?
Yeah, like he pulls out a one BCX common. He's like, here's a crumb for the starving masses. Damn, that's cold hearted, Blaze. That's cold hearted, man.
Yeah.
But hey, there you go.
So
Like that's a pretty
so
juicy
going
card
back
for a
to
one
land
BCX
items,
common.
and I would just say that there's going to be a lot of other things that are going to be coming from land. So land, and this is before we even get to the buildings. Like the next thing up is Manchester's going to be working on, like everything I just mentioned can be done as it exists now. So we now have no limitations on making things from land in normal things, right? But next is going to come buildings, and and that's something that Manchester's got to go, code and get working and all that kind of stuff. And that's going to be pretty exciting when we get to buildings because then we're going to be able to make factories and things like that. So people will be able to go into business actually on a like a real business. Like they'll be able to like, hey, I'm gonna go make 50,000 battle wagons or whatever. Like and take an order for them and ship them and blah blah blah. So uh, that's going to require different level buildings and all that's being built. But until then, we're going to have plenty of things that are going to come out that are going to require resources on land. I think somebody said something like about research, and I mentioned this on a town hall not that long ago, but they were like, there's no real reason to do research. And then another guy said, well, I'm still doing it just in case. And I just say this about all the resources, like every single thing that we do. I'm pretty sure one day you're going to say, I wish I had more. Like, I think that's just going to be the way you're going to look at it. So you're just not going to be able to get everything you want if you don't do it. Right. So if you do it, you're probably going to be rewarded. If you don't do it, you're going to wish you had. That's how I look at land.
Yo, and what's interesting is that like one thing that we know historically, I mean, unless something changes that I'm unaware of, is you're gonna probably want research for buildings, right?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about that only because like that's getting a little too in the weeds. You know,
Yeah,
I do think all resources are important, so therefore, uh, like for instance, some people like I don't need aura because I don't, whatever. I don't care about black. foil potions, right? So, okay, well, you don't have to, but you can buy the black foil potions on the market. And then people are like, well, that sucks that I got to go buy them from somebody who made them. Well, then the answer would be, well, go get some research and make an aura plot. Like, so at the end of the day, like everything is going to be connected. You're not going to be able to produce everything. So I will say that at some point you will find that you can't do everything, even other than possibly Buctus, but everybody else will not be able to do everything. And when that happens, then it's going to be very normal. Like if I need, let's just go off the white paper. Like I need planks of wood to build, my house because I don't want to use the raw wood. Well, somebody's got to make those planks of wood, from the raw, from the wood that, was harvested. So somebody's got to refine it. So that's going to take a factory, and somebody's going to have a factory to do that. Now, whether there's 10 people that have a factory or 100 people that have a factory, that I don't know. The market's kind of going to determine stuff like that. But I will say that I do think that, you can't go wrong with wanting more of everything. More plots, more resources, more like I just think at some point, and again, this isn't about price. Like I don't know the current price of everything relative to each other. So maybe we're on the high end and you're like, hey, it's gonna go down because we just, with that. Like maybe that's true. I don't know. I just think in the long run, we're gonna make some cool stuff that people are gonna want and they're gonna wish they had these things. That's all. So, like I know I don't have as much grain, wood, stone, iron, research, or I don't have enough of all those things. And I have many thousands of plots, but to be quite honest, I'd like to have more. So, you know, and that's
Yeah,
without looking at the price. So I don't
Dave.
know what.
Yeah, I think that's like my main point though. There is like whenever we saw like the land cards come, right? It's like then people got upset about like, well, oh, well, I didn't have the research or oh, I didn't have the aura, and it's like then like people will get upset with other people that did, and like that's basically what I'm trying to get at. Is I think we're saying the same thing here, is right? Like you probably want to have resources on standby because like whenever these things start happening and like we're already telling you they're coming, like you probably want to be in a position to capitalize on it instead of complaining that other people are, right? So that's what I'm saying is like, you're basically being told, that the buildings are coming, right? Like you just got told that there's more land cards coming or more cards created from land. So it's like to me, it's like the smart thing to do would be to have the resources ready ahead of time so that whenever you do need them, like I don't think we're in a situation before like we were before, right? Where it's like, I think people kind of got like a little complacent about the way things used to be done. And then like, it's like, okay, well, I'll just go collect research for like, a year and then like maybe one day we'll do something. It's like, no, like we're telling you things are coming and like it would probably be smart to be prepared for that is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And also, this is also a long-term thing as well. I just want to make sure everybody, I mean, I know everybody has been here is long-term, or I would say 95% of everybody that's here has been here for a while. They kind of understand. I just want to reiterate, like, we're not going to snap our fingers and make a building happen tomorrow. Like, there's a process that, that it needs to be coded. And those aren't easy things to do. Look how long it took them to do the initial land. So doing a building is not going to be like something that we're going to whip out in the next 2 weeks, right? But it is going to be the next big, tool that we're going to be able to use to go to the next level. Until that happens, we're not going to just sit here and do nothing, till that happens. Like I said, we're gonna develop another card or two cards, matter of fact, to be clear, that are gonna be put out, and you'll be able to buy them with resources from land and cinder. Yeah, so like if you want those cards, that's what you do is you go get the resource and go get the cinder and go buy it just like people did the land card. And then we're gonna have other things as well. So before we ever get the buildings, we'll still have demand for resources. So the people that are worried like, oh, we're not going to be able to do anything till land 2.0 is completely finished. Like, no, we're going to do a lot of things between now and then. So, working as hard as we can based on the team we have to, and we have a plan going forward. And that plan includes, not waiting till it's out before you have use for your land resources. In other words, there will be a reason to own those things. So, like I said, I don't have enough, and I got a lot. So,
Yep.
I want more.
You know, I don't know. There's definitely some. I think land is probably more affordable now than it was for like a long time. I mean, like I can remember buying like $500-600 plots before like there were the claims and stuff. So I mean, like you guys got like some good opportunities out there if you're wanting to get ready for land. And again, just to be clear, like this is one of those things like what Dave was just saying. It's like not everybody, you're not going to be able to do everything, right? Like everybody just cannot do everything, right? Like I think we're even getting to the point where like we got people like Vugtis that are like, like okay, I gotta, like at some point, like it even comes down to like how much can I personally manage, right? Because like I can remember like I was talking to Vugtis whenever I think it was like whenever the land cards came out, right? And he was like, spending like a whole week just trying to like re-optimize his plots based on like the land cards, right? And it's like, it's a lot, right? Like, so even at scale, like, you can get to the point where, like one person, has limited time. But I do think that like it's one of the things that like I've even personally had to like come to terms with, right? It's like I have like a bunch of land, but like I also can't like do my job. I can't also like, play in modern, and I can't also like, do all the things I want to do all the time just because like one, I have limited time, and two, I have limited resources, right? So like it's very important that you specialize, and like, especially like even with something like land, right? Like maybe you're going to focus on wood, or maybe you're going to focus on grain and like feeding and stuff like that. And I think it's like I think it's fine, right? Like I think you should, for a working economy, right? Like to just look at like any economy in the world, right? Like there's countries that specialize in oil. There's countries that specialize in technology, right? Like you can look at Taiwan, right? Like Taiwan's like one of like the semiconductor manufacturing hubs of the entire world. Then you can look at like, there's countries and like areas that have like lots of oil. And then there's countries that grow like lots of beef, right? It's like it's okay to specialize in things. You don't have to have everything, but like you do probably want to be in a position to capitalize on the things that you do have. And yeah, like I'm saying, like we know more land is coming, like more stuff for land, more developments, not more land, just to be clear. So, again, like I don't want to see, well, hopefully like we can avoid the situation like we had last time where people are like, oh, I wish I would have known stuff was coming, and I could have been more prepared. It's like, buddy, I'm screaming, it's coming, it's coming, get ready. The boy is not crying wolf. So, that's all I'm saying.
Cool. And also, getting back to the mini set, you guys have talked about it going to be a big deal. One thing that I don't think that is understood well enough, and since this is down hall, maybe it'd be a good time to, talk about it, which is the significance of the DAO getting a massive amount of SPS. Because what I believe that will do when you're looking out at the big picture is there was a point where a person who invested in our game said to themselves, okay, well, this is all fine and dandy, but what happens when SPS runs out? Like, what are you guys going to do when SPS is gone? And then, some people like assumed like we were never, well, okay, well, the game just shuts down then, right? And there was a point where we were like a year away. Then we did some things. Clay's done a great job at, multiple things. In that area. One is he extended the runway. Number two, by dropping, the rewards, taking away some of the rewards that, via votes, that we didn't need to do, increasing our earnings, the DAO earnings, like he's created, income for the DAO off the assets we do have. He's reduced expenses. So right now, the only real hard cost that we have is Clay himself. Um, so all that is all good. The one thing we didn't have is what happens when SPS runs out. Well, if this mini set goes the way it could, and we get a big slug of SPS, now that puts us in a mindset where the reward system is renewable, so to speak, and then it can become perpetual, right? Meaning we're not just go till the end, like we sell stuff and we get in more SPS. Now that SPS gets added on, and now all of a sudden we have, instead of whatever 3 years, now we got 4 years. Let's say, just I'm just picking out numbers, but the point is, like down the road, we can essentially all things to get the SPS we need to give out in ranked play, and then it becomes like a perpetual thing. So I haven't really wanted to harp on it, up until this point, because um there's too many people that, didn't want to see that, right? But I think now it's okay to point that out. I think it's going to be a big deal. I think I think the fact that we're going to have 100 million plus SPS, or I believe that we'll have 100 million SPS if things go the way I think. More SPS is going to give us a lot more flexibility and a lot more confidence, that we're going to be here 10 years from now, or and more, right? Because our SPS was going to run out. Now with this mechanic, we have a path forward to replenish it. So I think it's a big deal.
Well, that's like I can tell you guys, like you can probably go back to day one and see like one of my core philosophies about this whole thing has been make the DAO sustainable, right? And I think that there's like multiple levels to that. Like one is obviously like I'm always looking for ways to basically save the DAO's money, right? And I mean, like, I don't really want to get into all of that. You guys can go back through the history and see. I mean, like, we've cut a lot of expenses, doing things like getting money back from exchanges and like all kind of stuff. Like all that's good. Finding ways to basically take the DAO's idle assets and make them create value. One of the big things like we just did with BNB, right? Like BNB went up like 4x or whatever over the course of the last year. So instead of just sitting on them like we had before and like letting them go down to like there was one point where our DAO was sitting on like $50 million, right? So like even just like being idle costs us millions of dollars, right? So like being in a position to where like we capitalize on these, like especially like when we have assets that appreciate, right? Like one of the other things that like we kind of like started, early discussions on recently is whether or not we want to start selling the DAO's Ethereum, right? And I mean like on my personal level, like I'm pretty like overall bullish on crypto, especially for the long term, right? Like I mean I do think that there's bear markets, I'm not like the perma bull, but like I do think that like long term these things go up, even if for nothing else the dollar keeps getting weaker. And I think it's important to make sure that like, we're always capitalizing when we do have opportunities. And like right now, what we do is we have an opportunity to extend our runway significantly, right? And we've kind of already done that, right? Like we cut off LP inflation and we turned what was a net expense and like a net, downward pressure on the token into a benefit by basically having the DAO use idle assets to take over a lot of the LP stuff. Then we cut that inflation. We went and reworked all the reward pool runways to give us like a roughly, it's like I think there's like a month or two variation like on some things, but like overall we've got like a solid 3 year game plan for how we're distributing rewards. And now we take in more and more SPS out of circulation, and then we're just like basically locking it up in the DAO so that we can use it in the future, right? Um, like one of the things that like I think it's important to understand with having future rewards, right, is like it seems like there's probably two camps of thought here. Is that some people are like, we should like SPS distribution should just be finished, right? And then there's the other people that are like, I don't ever want rewards to end. And part of the problem is like there has to be a balance there, right? So like even if we said there's no more SPS being distributed, you're still going to have to do things like, fund reward pools for validators and fund ranked play rewards, and there's other ways we can do it. But the point is like you still have to give out some kind of rewards or incentives to stake the tokens, or else the value proposition's gone, and then thus the value of the token is gone. But yeah, like I do think that there's ways that we can have like meaningful long-term sustained runways that still allow token appreciation over time. And that's kind of like what we're working on now, right? And of course, everything works through consensus. So the DAO has to basically assess the value proposition and vote on it. But like what I think right now is like if you look at the overall, you actually Elmo Burns, I can't ever like Schnutz. I struggle with names, guys. He was like he went and like redid some work, and I was kind of like pointing out some of the math, because what I've been trying to tell people is that like I think you look at the liquid SPS number on the website and you're thinking like, oh, okay, well there's like 400 something million liquid SPS out there. I don't need to worry about anything. But like it's not true, right? Like it's just not. Like if you really understand like the way that like the token works, like what there really is there's like roughly 285 million liquid SPS that the DAO does not control, right? So like yes, the DAO does have like liquidity out there. So there are liquidity pools where technically like you could argue this stuff circulating, right? But like it's not like somebody from the community is sitting there with like 200 million SPS that they can sell at any moment, right? So like the DAO does have controlled liquid supplies, and I think that you want to acknowledge that. But like if you want to look at like what's actually liquid in the community's control is about 285 million SPS. So then if you look at this mini set, the mini set, if it sells out, right? Like in a just perfect scenario, it sold out 100% in SPS. It would bring in 175 million SPS. For a lot of reasons, I don't think that's realistic. Like maybe we could push like 130. Maybe one. Like I think that that's probably like a hard upper limit, because at some point the price starts transferring to deck, and then people are going to be min maxing, whatever. And then there's also going to be people that will unstake to buy the mini set. But I do think that like something like bringing in like 100 million SPS out of the liquid supply isn't unreasonable, right? Like even if it's mostly just people arbitraging. So then if we do that, then you have to kind of like reassess, okay, well then like let's say there's 185 million liquid supply that's outside of the DAO control. Like as we keep tightening up that supply, at some point you're gonna have supply shock, right? So like the more we can pull out of circulation, the better. I think, and then like over time, as hopefully price appreciates, then we can give out less tokens for rewards, right? So then we basically have accomplished the goal of having a sustainable runway. And whenever we need more tokens, we can do things like what we're doing right now with this mini set, which is, we could have a mini set where we sell it in SPS, and, maybe it, supplies like another year or two worth of rewards. And I mean, like to me, that's sustainability.
Right. Agree. I just want to, I mean, my main thing is to point out, like, once the mini set, if the mini set is successful, which I'm gonna, for this argument, assume it will be, and it does come close or sells out, really anything over 100 million was my original, goal. Anything over 100 million SPS is a significant chunk of change. It puts us, I think it puts us in a great spot. It will, I think, it will increase confidence. And I don't, I don't know how many people remember the confidence comments that I made early in the game, but the value of any currency at all always is based on confidence. If people have a lack of confidence, it goes down. If people have a high degree of confidence in the future, then it goes up. And I think this this dynamic alone, if it goes how I think it's going to go, will improve our confidence quite a bit. And I think that's going to be meaningful. So I mean, we'll see. And I'm not trying to hype people, like somebody the other day said we shouldn't try to hype people. And I actually agree with that. Like, I don't want to do anything artificial to hype people. Like, you guys can see with your own eyes, whether things are going well or not, or whether they're improving or not. Right. Again, like that's up to each person with their own eyes to see. Um, I think it's important that we tell you what's happening, that we deliver on what we say, that you like what we're delivering, blah, 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 those kind of things. At the end of the day, like I'm not trying to like hype you and say like SPS is getting ready to fly. Right? Like all I'm saying is just, pay attention. That's all. Pay attention, draw your own conclusions. And my guess is you'll feel happier and happier as time goes.
Yeah. I know I got another meeting. Like I have.
I just got Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up, guys. We tried to address a lot of the questions as they come. Five Mishas. I'm not sure exactly how many Rift Watchers sold, but I can tell you it was very underwhelming. Like that I know for sure. And part of that was just like issues with like the pricing structure. Like people didn't want to say like, I bought it for 100 SPS, then somebody's got to pay 500 SPS later. Like there was a lot of issues with it. So I do think that we have a lot better pricing structure this time. I know some people want different things, but like I think this will work. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, overall, like I'm very happy with the direction things are headed. I feel like the mini set is like really good quality. I think you guys will be able to see that, especially as like the cards start getting shared, which I think that's supposed to be starting this week. We got big things coming this year again, and like, I'm really not like the super hype guy. Like I tend to be like overall balanced, but I can tell you like even I'm starting to get hyped now, which is like interesting. But we'll see how it goes. I think we've got a really good 2026 ahead of us. I think things like overall, like looking in the crypto market too, are looking good. If you guys didn't see, we are currently the top searched project on Play to Earn. So like people that are still in this space are starting to turn their attention towards us, which I think is good. We won like the trading card game of the year. So I mean like lots of good things are coming. Lots of good things are already happening. I am pretty excited that it feels like in general like we're moving in the right direction, and I think the results are starting to speak for themselves. So hopefully everything goes well this year, and we're all very grateful for the opportunity to be here early. That's my outlook. But thanks for coming on, Dave. Thanks for like having this conversation. Hopefully, we've been able to give some people some peace of mind in regards to the conflicts and the changes, and maybe give them like a little bit of a insight into why we're so optimistic for what's coming. But yeah, I mean, it's a good year. Good. Hashtag you don't have enough SPS. Push and shove. Whatever. Uh, but yeah, like land, I think you're gonna want to get your land situation sorted out too. We got a lot of good stuff coming, guys. So hopefully you're ready.
Yeah, I would agree. And thank you all for being here. Like there's actually quite a few people in the audience. The DAOn Hall is definitely a known thing, Clay. So you're doing great with this. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to see, how many people are here and, focused on having us do well. And I see all these other companies going out of business or worried about going out of business. And I'm like grateful that we have such a great community. So thank you guys for, the support, for the confidence, for the efforts to help each other, a lot of different things. So um, we'll do it again tomorrow. Like talk about
Yeah.
stuff like this again tomorrow. But as far as the mini set goes and the conflict, anybody has any issues with how that works, like if you don't think you understand it, like you just listen to the hour and a half that we just had, and you're like, I still don't understand, like feel free to DM me. I'll be happy to walk you through and answer every question. So what if you don't feel you understand it, let me know and I'll be happy to help.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Hopefully everybody has a good day and good 2026. I think we're still. This is probably the first one of these we've done since the New Year. So yeah, looking forward to big things. Thanks everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
See you, see you guys.
See ya.